Hello guys and welcome back to Women, Wine and Wisdom. I'm Naomi.
I'm Jimmy.
And today we are going to be talking about how parents can hold back their children.
Yes, let's talk about it. Guys, parents can hold you back in obvious ways and I feel like not so obvious ways.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the time we let the not so obvious ways slide so much.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, let's talk about it because we were just we're doing some, behind the scenes and they dropped a little gem and I was like, you know what, we need to talk about it on camera. So here we are blurting out this topic. So Nay, just intro them to what you just said.
Oh gosh, can I ever remember? But yeah, no, so basically I believe that some parents can sometimes hold you back from succeeding in life. And like Jimmy said, and sometimes it's not so obvious. Some parents invest in their children's future and some parents subtract from them.
Take from,
literally it will be sending me money every month because I'm back home in, I don't know, Uganda. Because I always attack Nigeria, so let me use Uganda.
Yes.
They'll be saying, send me back some money in Uganda. So every month you're having to deposit into your parents' account.
Yeah.
But then you're trying to build your life with your partner.
Yes.
And so that can sometimes be a hindrance. And as Jimmy said, it's subtracting from you rather than adding to you.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I just feel like it's really interesting because don't parents know when they're holding you back? That's the thing.
I don't think they do, you know. I think some parents have children for comfort life. I think they sometimes have children with the intention of believing that those kids are going to pour into them when they get old.
Facts. Cultural thing though.
Yeah.
That's definitely Africa. Let's call out West Africa in particular. Because to be honest, in the UK culture.
I think probably Asian culture as well, you know.
No. Do you know why I'm going to say no to, and not always actually, let me not say no, not always. Yeah. Because you know what I've found in my Asian friends, for example, what I've seen in my Asian friends is that their parents actually build them up. They keep them, for example, let's say in the house with them, but they leave those kind of houses to them.
Yeah.
A lot of African cultures leave their children debt or things to pay off, or they don't have money to kind of give. And I feel like growing up, when you look around, you see a lot of, people in the UK, for example, their parents giving them money for their first car. Meanwhile, when you're Nigerian, in Nigerian culture, when you get your first job, your first paycheck goes to the family. That doesn't happen in other cultures. So that's why I say no sometimes to Asian. I feel like it's a very specific.
I mean, I've seen it in some Asian cultures.
Yeah, that's why I say some in my Asian friends.
Yeah. I've seen it where, yes, everyone's in the same household, but you're all pouring into the same pot.
Yeah, that you might eventually benefit from.
Yeah. Because some of them still do choose to move out and have to then build again for themselves.
Yes, of course.
Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Asian culture, the house is technically left to the sons, not the daughters. The daughters go to their husband's house.
100%.
And then that could be in their in-laws' house. Again, like the same kind of cycle repeating. But some of them, they stray away from that and they want to do their own thing. Yes. So it's not always the same cases for all.
Of course not.
In the house.
Yeah.
But I do understand that, a lot of the times they do build up wealth, generational wealth, and pass down to their kids.
And I feel like that's not the same for a lot of African culture. Some, yes. Yeah. Because there's obviously exceptions to it. But some. Another example one of my friends is from Martinique. And I remember we were staying together a while ago. And obviously as Africans, well, I say as Africans, as Nigerians, a lot of us give our parents money. She could not understand for the life of her why. She was like, you didn't choose to be born. No, but she was, and the thing is, this is not even, she was like, you didn't choose to be born. She's like, your parents are meant to invest in you. She's like, so she's like, why do you give back? She was genuinely trying to understand why we give back. Because for her, she was like, her parents give her money and she's older than I am. Do you know what I mean? And she's like, when I have my grandchildren, are my parents then, she said, when you have grandchildren, are your parents expecting you to still give them money? And the answer is yes. Wow. Do you know what I mean? I feel like parents are still expectant in Nigerian culture of their children to look after them. Culturally, it's just an expectation. Whereas in a lot of other cultures, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so for example, when I was in school, a lot of people, actually, let me not say me as an example, because I feel like it happened a lot when after me. So for example, let's say some of my cousin's friends, their parents bought them cars for their first driving test. I can count the number of Nigerian friends I have that their parents bought them their first car.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's facts. You want to put your first car? I love that.
That's cute.
That's one.
Actually, did my mum? I'm trying to think. I think she gave me money towards my first car.
Let me not. I'm not me. My dad gave me my first car. Let me not lie. But I'm just saying, like, there are actually times where parents expect you to do it all.
Do it all yourself. Yeah, 100%.
Because they did it. When they came, they did it.
But do you feel like there's a difference between parents who say have been living here, working here, making money here versus parents who are still back home and have sent you here?
I think the expectation is higher. But it depends, because a lot of the time that are people that are from Nigeria that get sent here are well off. So I think the mentality is different. They don't really care what you did. They're just sending you to, my son goes to school abroad. Whereas the people that work here,
abroad.
Yeah, that's what they say now.
No, it is abroad.
Yeah. So whereas here, I feel like the parents work for their money.
Yeah.
So they expect an investment back because they're investing so much in you. Whereas in Nigeria, the money's probably already there for the ones they send to school here, because there's a massive difference between the schools in Nigeria that they send them to and then the ones that they send them to here when they go. Because international fees are mad.
Yeah. No, they are. They are, to be fair. But
what do you think about when you're building with your partner? Because we're obviously in that phase right now. Do you think that the man, actually both of them should be giving money to their parents when they're, for example, saving for a wedding maybe, or expecting their first child, but their parents still expect a monthly income? And I want to ask your opinion, and I'm going to give you another scenario.
Jimmy,
I just want to know your opinion.
No, I do feel like actually ask that question again.
So do you feel that when you're building with your partner, would your parents expect money from you still? So let's say you're building with your partner, maybe you want to save for a wedding, or you're expecting your first child, or you need to put a deposit down. Do you think, for example, that your parents would, not you, but parents expect their children to still give them money? And if they do you think that's okay?
I don't think that's okay. I think that is the biggest hindrance, let me tell you.
Yeah.
If your parents are still asking you for money and you're going into a marriage or you're building with your partner, I think that's a massive hindrance. I don't think it's fair. I think it is always going to be circumstantial. So I don't want to kind of say like it's a blanket statement for all. Yeah. But it is a hindrance. It will slow you down. And I think like, you know, the Bible talks about when you leave your parents and you're meant to cleave onto your wife or husband or whatever. Yeah. And so ultimately you're not doing that if you're still giving back. And I feel like it keeps you in that middle bracket of you're always kind of like pillar to post. You're always like how do you make a decision? If you're down to your last pound in that situation, who would you give it to?
My damn self.
but no, like, do you know what I mean? Because ultimately, if your child needs Pampers, if your child needs diapers, are you expecting me to just afford that and just cover that cost? Yeah. Or are you gonna chime in? And you probably wouldn't. If you feel like I can cover it, you're gonna think, yeah, okay, that's fine, you're covering it, so I'm just gonna give back to my family. Yeah. But at the same time, it's such a hard decision because in some people's situations, that's just the dynamics of their family, and they're not gonna witness their family struggle. They want to be able to still support their family, and it's not to
say at the expense of what.
But it's at the expense of their relationship, because the relationship is always going to suffer. The relationship will always suffer, especially if you have a partner who is in a career versus your elderly parents who have no money. But then, I'm sorry, it is not my problem that your parent, like, this is going to sound brutal, but ultimately, it's not my problem that your parents didn't set up for themselves.
Facts.
And they should have. Why did you continue having children if you can't afford to
look after them?
I
completely agree.
It's not fair on me, because you're then holding me back from achieving, growing, and blossoming with my family. And this is where you prevent yourselves from breaking generational curses.
Facts. Talk on it.
Because if you
This is why I was saying earlier, sometimes you need to check them parents. You do.
But it's like, if you don't allow your son, if you don't fix yourself, sort yourself out, and allow your son to focus on his family, your grandchild is probably gonna end up doing the same thing. And it's just gonna be a reoccurring thing of everyone contributing towards to their parents rather than investing in their families and trying to build.
I agree. I agree. I genuinely feel like, I think sometimes the expectation from African parents is very high. Yeah. And for me, because obviously it's like, oh yeah, I raised you, I invested in you, but some people are bad mothers. You invested in me, but what was it the real investment? Did I actually gain? Because some people's mothers or parents are trying to live through them sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
And that's another way that your parents can kind of hinder you, because I saw it a lot in secondary school, actually, where I feel like a lot, what do you think of this topic? There's so many things just bubbling in my head, yeah. But I saw this woman basically try to live through her daughter, and I think that really hindered her. And she actually kind of fell off in secondary school. So yeah, there's. Do you think that women? Because apparently there's a saying that says that women never really grow up. So it's So the saying is that men see themselves in younger men, right? But women see themselves as younger women. Do you agree or disagree? Does that make sense? So men see themselves in younger men, so they're going to give them advice, right? They're going to try and hold them accountable. So for example, like my dad would always say, like, you know, I made this mistake and he saw my cousin making it. He wanted to help him, right? But women, we see ourselves as younger women. We don't see ourselves as...
So for example, if we're 45, we're just like, I'm still tatty.
Yeah, I'm still 30 and we're still trying to live as a 30-year-old, maybe through other people sometimes, whereas it's not the same for men. What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting.
Isn't it?
I personally haven't heard the saying before, but it's making me like, I'm just thinking about it and I'm just like, is that the case?
There's definitely some truth in it.
Yeah, because I feel like women do always want to keep up with that kind of young, fresh look. And I think...
Facts.
I think when I'm thinking about it more, I feel like men do embrace getting older.
Yes, because...
And I don't know if that's because obviously they're in their prime as they get older. And so for them, they like... It's like matured wine. They enjoy
aging
because it comes with a lot more knowledge, a lot more money usually.
And for women, it's not the same.
For women, it's not the same. You're not as desirable as you get older, and so you are probably always chasing that youthfulness in yourself. We're the ones that are buying anti-aging cream. We're the ones that are, you know,
we're going for all the treatments.
We're going for all the treatments. We're trying to
all
get
the
nip and
surgeries.
tucks and So I can see that. That makes
an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, very interesting.
So yeah. Shout out TikTok, because I heard that and I thought that's a really interesting thought.
Concept.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thought. So when the person said it, I was like, I see it, and I see it a lot as well with. And you know another thing as well. I think that how parents hinder their what's it called? Their children's growth. Yeah. So women, right? When we are dating, I feel like when we see our parents doing certain things, sometimes, or our aunties, sometimes we kind of emulate that. We kind of mimic it and think that it's right sometimes, but it's not always right, because when I think about it, I have 4 solid, strong women around me. Yeah. So that breeds hella masculine energy, right? My mum is so driven, it's unbelievable. And our sisters are all the same. They're all baddies in their own right, yeah? So for me, even though my dad's around, like I was around, don't get me wrong, but I see very strong women. And I actually think that hindered me growing up in relationships. So I think although it's been amazing, it's also been a hindrance.
Why do you feel it's been a hindrance?
I think it's been a hindrance because I feel like for me, and I always say this, I feel like I used to lead with masculine energy. Don't get me, my thoughts are still my thoughts, and I'm still strong and I'll stand on them. But I feel like there's certain things now that if I had known before, I would do a lot less of now. And I think when we spoke about it with Chris and Prince, I said I would definitely teach my daughters, if I have daughters, because I might have sons, but the power of feminine energy.
100%.
Do you see what I mean? I feel like we've all been driven to work so hard to like, you know, again, I say we've all, but a lot of people I know in terms of the working women has been work so hard, don't rely on no one, do this, do that. Do you know what I mean? And all that's brewed is raw masculine energy, and actually that hinders us from getting into relationships.
100%. No, so I totally agree.
Is there what other parents things that they could do to hinder you? Because you mentioned something.
I think
before. Go on, say what you were going to say.
I was going to say, like, this could be a bit controversial.
Okay, go on. I love a bit of controversy.
I think some parents choose your relationships. Hold on.
That's what I was trying to remember that you said. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I didn't remember I said that. But anyway. You did. But yeah, I think some parents choose their child's partner for them, and not necessarily, like, sometimes it is good to hear your parents' advice on whether or not they like your partner, whether or not he could be the right person for you. Yeah. But ultimately, they should trust that you know what's right for you.
I agree completely.
And allow you to make those choices and also those mistakes.
Yeah, facts.
I think parents that shield their children too much can sometimes prevent them from actually getting to know what the real world is like.
I 100% stand behind what you're saying right now. 100%.
10 toes, yeah.
100%. 10 toes. Do you know why? Because I do genuinely feel like this is the thing. Sometimes your parents feel like they know what's best for you. And I feel like when it comes to relationships, unfortunately, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, because there are obviously some arranged marriages that do work, but that's still you choosing to a certain extent to make that work.
Yeah.
Now, in my own personal experience, my mom can't pick a man for me.
No.
Do you know what it is? Because don't get me wrong, it's not that they pick bad choices. But they might pick the really sensible. Oh, like he's got a nice car.
His family in Nigeria, they are very.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, even though that you might feel that is right for me, I know deep down that that's not working. Right. It's not going to work for me.
Exactly. And
you know what I mean? I don't like him.
And because and this goes back to the whole point that who I am as a person is not the same as who my mum is. We're two totally different people.
Yes, tell them. Tell them.
And so what is right for me may not necessarily be what, in her mind she's envisioned would be right for me.
Yes.
So she'll just see based on what's on paper, but she doesn't know what's happening behind closed doors.
Facts.
She doesn't know that he's maybe got anger problems or he's got depression, because that's not ever going to be what's shown. Yep. And it's never going to be what's written down on paper.
Yep.
So if I'm living it, and so sometimes...
I've experienced this, so I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we go. But, there might be some people out there that are like, no, my parents, they are the choosers or the deciding factors of my partners.
Don't get me wrong. I feel like they might be able to have an input.
So they need to be able to gel. Like, for me, they need to be able to... There needs to be a connection. They need to be able to get on well together, 100%. Yes. They need to be able to communicate. But, mummy, if I don't want to be with this guy, I'm not going to be with this guy.
Yeah. I remember one time I went to a wedding and then my aunties and my mum were like, you're not going to go and dance, me. They're going to be looking at you in the wedding. Anyway, so this guy came up to me at this wedding and he, he came to talk to me, blah, blah, blah. Not my type at all. Like, not my type at all. Anyway, my mum and my aunties doing their, smear. Anyway, he messages me to take me on a date, right? And I'm like, do you know what? Let me even go on this date so that they won't say that, she doesn't even give anybody a chance. Anyway, went on this date. Absolutely well-planned date, lovely date. Absolutely could not stand being there. Every part of my body wanted to leave that date. And the thing is, it was such a cute date, but I was not with the right person.
Yeah, 100%,
you know what I mean?
100%.
And then my mum was like, so you're just going to throw me away?
Yeah.
It's safe to say me and my mum definitely had a little lover's tiff about that.
100%. I can see that happening because parents always feel like they know.
Yeah.
But then it also goes back to like when parents start saying, I have this fine guy, let me connect you, as my mum likes to say when I was single. She used to be like, let me connect you.
Connect.
Connect. I'm like, what is this? Okay. She'd be like, there's one friend of mine in Nigeria, he has a son, or she has a son.
There's always a friend of somebody. There's always a friend.
She'll be like, and they'll be like, the person's very fine. Like one of my cousins, her mum, my auntie's so funny. She was like, let me connect you with this guy.
Yeah.
She sent the picture to my cousin. My cousin was like, don't you ever send me any connections or nothing
ever again.
She was like, how can you put me with this person?
Do you know what's so funny? This happened to my cousin. So like, one of my aunties sent him some girl. He was like, ew, no. Never. I was laughing. It just made me laugh so much. He was so repulsed.
But that's the thing. So like, no, parents don't always get it right when they want to connect you with someone. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you know another thing I think as well? I feel like when parents like are 10 toes in your relationship, let's say you and your boyfriend had a lover's tiff, or your husband had a lover's tiff, and they're just standing on your side without knowing the full story.
100%.
I think that's another way that a lot of parents can kind of hinder their children.
100%.
They'll be coming to pack your load, but really it's about, and this is why it's important for them to gel, so that they feel comfortable talking without you being present. Because sometimes, and I think this is one positive thing about the Nigerian culture is like, sometimes people say, I want a divorce. They'll be like, but why? Because a lot of these times, like, love's not easy. You have to work on these things, right?
You have to.
And I feel like the Nigerian culture is very like, let's try to mend it to see what happens.
Yeah. I hear that.
What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I feel like sometimes like parents have too much of an input, have too much to say.
Yes.
And especially if there's children involved, it can get very, because that's another flip side. When you've got children and you've got your in-laws or even your own parent getting involved and saying, excuse me, you should be bathing the baby in this direction, or you should be using palm oil in your water, or and telling you.
I've witnessed this.
Yeah. So like, but then you and your partner may have come to an understanding. Like for example, Nigerians typically, when we're doing naming, nobody should know your children's name until the naming, which is 7 days after giving birth.
Oh, I thought it was 2 weeks.
And,
I was off.
And 2, you're not meant to. Your like names are blessings, essentially. Yes, yeah. And so you can end up with 10 names. Your child can end up with 10 names.
Oh my God, can we debate this?
So you could end up with, imagine being with a partner who doesn't believe in all of that.
Then what? So.
Oh my God.
No, but okay, cool. Let's talk about this because this is actually a serious thing.
Okay, go.
This might not be that serious, but so if you have a child, and your parents want to name them, right? Do you think your parents should have the first name of the baby? Because again, this is actually a real Nigerian thing, so I'm very curious to know your thoughts on it. Because I feel like this can actually cause an argument between you and your husband or you and your partner. Because let's say I want to name my baby Joseph. And my partner's like, love the name Joseph, yeah? And mom's like, no, his name needs to be Bolaji.
Yeah.
Then what happens? What do you think about that?
I think at the end of the day, it's my child.
Tuck on it.
It's my child. So I will do, because if I want to call them Carisha. Sorry to any Carishas out there. If I want to call them Carisha or Miami or whoever. Oh yeah, that is Young
Miami's name.
Eek. But I will do whatever I want to do. It's my child. I gave birth to them, not you, Grandma.
Okay, cool. So you feel like that we should be able to name them, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I genuinely feel like this causes issues as well in relationships.
Massively.
Yeah.
Because it's cultural differences.
Yeah.
And I think with African cultures, and I'm sure other cultures as well, we are so about our culture.
Yeah.
We identify a lot with our culture. And so when you make cultural changes...
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
There's another one I want to ask you. But go on, I want to hear your point. Go on. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Even if I was, my mind is skipped.
Okay.
Tell me.
What do you think about, and this is specific to the Yoruba culture, guys.
Yeah.
About your child, two things actually.
Ooh.
Bending down.
Oh my God. Do you know what? Let's talk on it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. Do you see what I said?
No, you really sat out for this one. Bending down. But also, what do you think about your child calling everybody auntie and uncle?
So first of all, not everybody's their auntie and uncle.
Okay.
Even I don't call everybody auntie and uncle. So I mean, most of the time I would. Do you get what I mean? I'd be like auntie, uncle, especially if they're like very close relatives, right? Like dad's sisters, dad's brothers, mum's sisters. But if they've done something to me, for example, I will walk past you casually, you know. And I would actually, and this is what I was saying earlier about being able to check you. I will walk past you.
Yeah.
Because there are some times where adults can actually be wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
Now with the prostrating thing, let's talk about it. Because to be honest, I don't understand why I need to be kneeling down every time I see you. Yeah. If you've moved to the UK and you've colonized yourself, or you've mixed in and you've mingled, you can't be asking me about traditions from back then because basically you want a village woman for your son. I was born and raised in the UK. So I'm not saying don't kneel down because I feel like it's respect. I'm going to do it once in a while. But if you see me and expect me to kneel down every time, I don't think that's right.
No.
What do you think?
Wow.
And it's not, when I say kneel down, I'm not talking about just bending your knee. Yeah. I'm talking about both knees on the floor because...
Impossible.
Yes.
I thought that a long time ago.
That's the thing. So kneeling down on what, like if you're just like, oh, good afternoon, man. I can do that every time I see you.
Yeah.
But if your expectation is for me to be on both knees every single time I see you, good afternoon, ma. Good morning, ma.
No,
good evening, ma. Do you see what I mean? Then absolutely not.
No, I think for me, I agree. I am not going to be on both knees. I won't lie to you. But
why is it that we don't want to be on both knees? Is that an ego thing for us?
I don't know if probably. I think it's a mixture of things. I think it's an ego thing, but I think it's also because we are British Nigerians.
Thank you.
And so I think it's just like, I'm sorry, if you want me to still be doing all those things, we need to be in Nigeria.
Not even that. Find a village girl for your son. It's true though.
But yeah, so I think that's changed massively. But I am also conscious of the fact that I feel like as we get older and our generations continue to grow, by the time we have grandkids, are they going to even know any African culture, like Nigerian cultural things?
It's really, yes. I think they will. Do you know why? Because we pick up parts of the culture that we like. That's the thing. Do you know what I mean? So like, I genuinely feel like, so for example, like, I don't know if I would uphold everything. But like, for example, parts of like our food, greeting your aunties and uncles in the right way, being respectful. Like those are values that are instilled in our culture. I don't think we'll really lose that. But like, I'm not expecting people to kneel down to me with both knees on the floor when I'm 70. I was born and raised in the UK. Like even my mum that was born in Nigeria, if you go to kneel down with both legs, she'll hug you before you kneel down. Do you see what I mean? Because it's like, she's very much aware that this is not Nigeria, this is London.
Do you feel like your partner?
Yes. Do I feel like my partner? Yes, tell me.
Can I land?
land.
No, but literally, I know the answer now. But yeah, the question was, guys, would you expect your partner to kneel down to your parents? Okay, no.
No, I was saying yes, as in no, your conversation.
Okay, fine.
So, no. But because if my partner's parents expect me to kneel down on both knees, your nose better touch the floor when you dobale. That's my thing. That's the only thing. So if I come to your house, and your mum says to me, I need you to kneel down every time you see me. Every time you see my mum and dad, I expect your nose to touch the floor.
Yeah, skibble.
Because, you know, not even that, but it's to show you that it's just not that deep. Because if that was the case, why, like, how do I explain? If you want to just bow your head, then your mum should allow me to just kneel.
Yeah.
Not without kneel. But if your mum's expecting both knees on the floor, that's how you were culturally raised, to be dobale into the floor. What do you think?
No, it's true. I mean,
yeah, it goes both ways. You need to dobale to the floor. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a lot. I think cultures can be quite overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of find a happy medium. And I think parents who are not necessarily born here, but have come over from their home country need to be accepting of the fact that we are British.
Thank you very much.
And so, although, yes, we're of Nigerian heritage or
we was not
Ghanaian heritage or wherever you are from, we were not born and raised there. And so there has to be some sort of lenience in terms of how far we would go.
Okay, now let's talk about this. So now that you've brought that up here and we spoke about checking the parents. Now let's say, for example, like you was with your man and his mum expected you to kneel down every time. Then one day, for example, she did something to you. For example, let's say you didn't kneel down and she just smacked your shoulder or something like, not like a smack, but like a, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you expect him to check her?
Absolutely. Why are you touching me? Why are you touching me?
Okay, you would expect him to check her?
Yeah, absolutely.
But now what if he doesn't agree? What if he doesn't agree? Because, you know, I'm just debating this from our previous episodes, yeah. What if he doesn't agree and he's like, no, but it's a cultural thing. My mum expects that, you know, she's old. What do you then say? Would you let that slide?
No, I don't. I think at this point, I'm thinking physical violence.
No, I'm joking.
I'm joking. Not physical violence, but I am thinking like that is crossing the line.
Okay.
Like touching me is crossing the line because I wouldn't even allow you to touch me. And if you're seeing that behavior from your parents, in my mind, I'm going to be feeling like, if I accept the fact that your mom kind of tapped me on the shoulder to kind of correct me, you're going to feel like you can do that to me as well. And that's not happening.
Okay.
Under no circumstance.
Okay.
At all.
I hear it.
Not having it.
No, I hear what you're saying because I feel like and this is what I'm saying about people need correcting.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, there's certain things you can let slide and then there's certain things that's like, because, for example, now, let's say that happened, and then you let that slide. Do you know what's going to happen the next time? What happens the next time you don't kneel down?
She'll punch me.
No, but
that's what she'll do. Because she'll think it's okay.
Yeah, but this is why people need, and this is why I say that sometimes it's very important that people correct their parents because you're older than me, but doesn't mean that you can't be wrong.
No, 100%.
That's the thing. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I feel like there's so many ways because, for example, now, if I was in an interracial relationship, I don't believe that my mum would be expecting my partner to do ballet.
I mean, my mum may not expect it, but you'll certainly get brownie points for it. The brownie points?
Yes, you will get brownie points for it.
Yeah, she'll love that.
But in an interracial relationship, they might not expect it. So like, why are you now holding me to a certain standard? Just because I'm Nigerian.
But they expect you to know better.
I know better.
It's the whole.
But I'm still.
Do you have home training?
I don't care if you don't think I have home training. Because either which way, I am still British Nigerian. So I think there's a difference between being born and raised in Nigeria the way you were and being born in the UK and living in Nigeria for 1 or 2 years. There's a massive difference. So I don't know who's more foolish. Me that should know better or you should know better. Do you get what I mean?
That one is like, who came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, do you see what I mean? Who's wrong in this situation? Who should know better, me or you? So, what other ways do parents hinder their children?
Oh, do you know what? I had a really good one, and can I even remember it?
Do you know
it's really upsetting me.
That's actually really interesting, and I feel like a lot of parents don't teach their children financial literacy from young. That's why they end up with like CCJs, bad credit scores, all those types of things. Why are you not teaching your children?
That's a big one.
Like I always tell people, my mum was on my neck.
Yeah.
From university, you need to save. You need to make sure you're paying your bills on time. Yeah. And I feel like when I speak to a lot of young people, that's not the same for their parents. They're like, my credit was so poor, I didn't pay my credit card bill. I'll give you an example. I have 3 brothers. Yeah. One of them. So me when I was at uni, I was like, fine, I paid all my bills. My mum paid one of my brother's bills throughout uni because he just wouldn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't pay it. And she's like, I refuse to allow my son to have bad credit. Yeah. Because she knows the impact of it later. Yeah. Now, do you think he misses the bill?
No. But how did your mum paying it teach him?
Because now he knows not to. Well, let me tell you actually. I don't know whether it taught him But one thing I can definitely say is that he's not as bad off as his friends. So they can't do certain things. You couldn't get a phone contract. You couldn't get a house. You couldn't do this. My brother can do it all. And he realizes now. Why? Why? And it's funny because 2 of my brothers did accounting and finance at uni. So it's like now you realize the benefits of it. So instead of, I don't know if it's like the lesson, but she saved her son. She protected him.
Yeah, no,
do you see 100%. What I mean?
And I think that's a big thing because I think a lot of parents, they hinder their children by not teaching them about financial literacy
early enough.
They don't. Yeah, because a lot of the times they just teach them that you have to go to university, graduate, get a job, and work. They don't give you no more kind of like information or insight into why that is needed or like what you need to do with your money or how to save. They're not building you. They're basically just expecting you to just figure it all out. Yep. But also, okay, now it's come back to me. Another way parents hinder their children.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna land this properly. Don't shoot the messenger. But when your parents, and it's not all single parents, but some single parents can sometimes instill bad decision making for relationships in their children.
Facts. Talk on it.
They can encourage their child to be single.
Yes.
They will say at the drop of a hat, leave him.
Yep. Facts.
Do you understand?
Yep,
like, and they're not thinking of the bigger picture because they left their husband or their partner.
They don't want to be alone.
They don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
Or like not even like they don't want to be alone, but it's like they've left their partner, and they haven't really looked back on it and understood the hardship or what it takes to make a relationship work because they were single.
Yeah,
so they don't know how to endure the relationship run. So they'll be quick to probably just say to you, "Oh, leave him," rather than actually, I maybe shouldn't have left my marriage so quickly. Yeah, fight for your marriage.
Yeah, bad parenting.
Yeah,
that's
I see that with so many people.
I see it a lot too,
where they're just telling their kids, "Yeah, just leave the husband. Yeah, just move out."
I genuinely feel like a lot of the time though. So with that, I feel like that parent is lonely. Miserable, and again it comes back to trying to live life through you and depend exactly. And I feel like, do you see that more with men or women? I'd be curious to know the answer to that, because I feel like a lot of women that are single that have sons, for example, tend to hinder them as well.
Badly.
You see what I mean? But then I wonder what the ratio is.
See, so I'm not too sure if I see it more with men or women. Yeah. But one thing I feel like is that mothers are probably inclined to say to their son, "You can do better, leave her, you'll find another woman." Because I don't know, there's mothers and sons like
have a thing, right? It's always a
sometimes there can always be that kind of thing of, I feel like you can do better, because they may be jealous of the wife. Yeah. And there's a friction between them two. Do you see what I mean? But maybe that wife is what your son needs.
That's true.
But you just can't let go of your son because you see him as your husband.
Yeah, and then you need work.
Yeah.
Like, you have work to do, honey.
Exactly. So I feel like, I feel like sometimes single parents can sometimes hinder their children by encouraging them to leave situations prematurely because they themselves are single and that's all they know.
Yes. On that note, though, what we can do, or what we will do, is ask you guys what you think or how you think parents hinder their children in relationships, in financial literacy, in just life in general. Yeah. We definitely want to hear from you. I'll be very curious to know. Yeah. And I wonder what the ratio of mothers hindering their sons are to maybe mothers and fathers hindering their daughters. Yeah. Let us know what you think, guys.
Yeah, let us know. That's quite
like, comment, subscribe, and see you later.
See you later.